There are 5 watches that make men over 60 look instantly cheap, and the number one on that list might already be sitting on your wrist right now. Let's start with something that most men over 60 in Australia would never expect to hear. The Apple Watch, that sleek, ubiquitous rectangle you see on every wrist from Bondi to Brunswick, is quietly one of the biggest style mistakes a mature man can make. Not because it's a bad product, it's actually extraordinary technology. But because when you're a man who has lived a full life, built something real, carried yourself through decades of genuine challenge and hard-won achievement, strapping a notification screen to your wrist sends exactly the wrong message. It says you're still chasing relevance. It says you haven't quite figured out who you are yet. And in Australia, where understated confidence is genuinely respected above almost everything else, that matters more than most men realize. The watch on a man over 60 is not a gadget. It's not a fitness tracker. It's not a conversation starter about step counts or sleep scores. It is a statement about who you are, what you value, and how seriously you take the art of presenting yourself to the world. And the wrong statement can unravel an entire image in seconds. So let's go through the 5 watches that are silently costing Australian men over 60 their credibility, and then we'll look at the 5 that genuinely earn respect, admiration, and yes, quiet envy from people who actually know what they're looking at. The first offender is the oversized fashion chronograph. You've seen it, massive case, multiple subdials, loud color contrasts, a brand name that showed up about 15 years ago and started selling hard through shopping center jewelers and discount catalogs. These watches are engineered to look expensive from a distance, but anyone who knows anything about horology recognizes them immediately and completely. The case is often made from cheap alloy with chrome plating that begins to flake and bubble within 18 months of regular wear. The movement inside is a basic quartz battery cell with no craft, no history, and no mechanical soul behind it whatsoever. In Australia, brands sold aggressively through promotional catalogs and department store floor space tend to fall squarely into this category. The dial is busy and visually anxious, the crown feels hollow when you touch it, and the bracelet rattles against itself with every movement. When a man over 60 wears one of these, the message it sends is unfortunately unmistakable: he wanted to look wealthy but reached for the imitation. The contrast between a life genuinely lived and a counterfeit presentation is jarring to anyone paying attention. The second watch to avoid is the gold-toned dress watch with a genuine leather strap that has clearly never been replaced. This combination was popular in the 1980s and 1990s, and many men bought one for a significant occasion, a promotion, a wedding, a milestone birthday, and have simply kept wearing it out of habit ever since. The problem isn't sentiment. Sentiment is actually admirable and deeply human. The problem is that gold-toned plating ages very badly indeed. It develops thin patches, dark irregular spots, and an uneven surface that reads as neglect rather than nostalgic character. The leather strap, meanwhile, stiffens over years, cracks along the fold lines, and often develops a persistent odor that no amount of conditioning or polish can properly address. In the Australian climate, with heat and humidity varying dramatically between seasons and between regions, leather watch straps genuinely suffer faster than in cooler European environments. A watch that was once entirely appropriate has quietly become a symbol of stagnation rather than continuity. The third watch that betrays a man over 60 in Australia is the oversized sport diver worn as a daily piece without context. To be absolutely clear, a genuine tool diver from a reputable manufacturer is a serious and worthy watch. The issue arises when the watch is simply too large for the wrist wearing it, and when it's paired consistently with business shirts, tailored blazers, and formal trousers in professional or social settings. A 47mm black rubber-strapped diver worn to a business lunch or a family dinner creates a visual collision that undermines the entire outfit around it. In Australia, outdoor culture is real and genuinely celebrated, but there is a meaningful difference between a man who actually dives, sails, or surfs, and one who bought the aesthetic without the lifestyle to support it. Younger men can carry certain contradictions with natural ease. Men over 60 are read very differently by those around them, and a mismatch between watch and context registers unmistakably as either confusion or compensation. The fourth watch that quietly damages the image of mature Australian men is the mid-range smartwatch that isn't an Apple Watch but is clearly attempting to occupy that space. The fitness tracker category, brands that fill the shelves of electronics stores and pharmacies across the country, occupies an awkward and unconvincing middle ground. It lacks the premium construction of a proper Swiss mechanical watch and the genuine software depth of a true smartwatch ecosystem. It typically features a plastic strap in bright silicone, a screen that dims frustratingly in direct sunlight, and a digital display that reads as neither sporty nor elegant in any context. For a man over 60, wearing one of these in any setting outside of a morning walk sends a clear message of indifference to personal presentation. It communicates that the watch was selected for pure convenience without any real thought about how it reads to others. In a country where watch culture has been growing steadily, with specialist retailers and enthusiast communities operating actively in every major city, that indifference is noticed by more people than you might expect. The fifth watch that makes older Australian men look cheap is the replica or homage piece worn as though it were something it genuinely isn't. There is an understood cultural difference between knowingly owning an affordable homage watch and actively presenting it as the real article. When a man over 60 wears something that clearly imitates the case shape, dial architecture, and bracelet construction of a famous Swiss watch but cannot survive even casual scrutiny, the crown detail, the finishing quality on the lugs, the actual weight of the bracelet links, the result is considerably worse than simply wearing a modest, honest, affordable watch. It broadcasts a desire to impress without the willingness to invest authentically. Australia's growing and genuinely knowledgeable community of watch enthusiasts means there are more people than ever before who can identify these pieces within moments of seeing them. Now let's turn completely to the other side of this equation. Because for every watch that quietly undermines a man over 60, there are options that genuinely elevate him, not through flashiness or conspicuous spending, but through real substance and considered craft. The first watch genuinely worth every dollar for an Australian man over 60 is the Seiko Presage Cocktail Time. Available through authorized dealers across the country, this watch occupies a remarkable and almost unfair position in the market. It presents a dial that looks as though it belongs on a watch costing 5 to 10 times its actual price, deep lacquer finishes, rich sunburst patterns, applied indices with genuine dimension and careful placement. The automatic movement inside is reliable, respectably finished for its price point, and carries the heritage of a brand that serious collectors around the world have respected for generations. At a retail price accessible to most Australians without requiring a significant financial commitment, the Presage communicates quiet sophistication and genuine discernment. It says clearly that this man knows what good looks like and doesn't need to overspend to achieve it. The second watch worth serious consideration is the Tudor Black Bay 36. Tudor is the Swiss manufacturer that Rolex created as its more accessible sibling brand, and in Australia it has developed a loyal and informed following. The Black Bay 36, specifically, matters because its case size is considered by many experienced stylists and watch enthusiasts to be the ideal dimension for dress and smart casual wear on a mature man. It is not undersized, it is correctly proportioned. The dial is exceptionally clean, the case finishing is of a standard well above expectations, and the in-house movement carries COSC certification for genuine chronometric precision. At under $4,000 Australian dollars new, and meaningfully less through the established pre-owned market, it represents real value for a watch that will outlast its owner and carry genuine meaning for whoever eventually inherits it. The third watch that earns authentic respect for men over 60 in Australia is the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra. The Aqua Terra is Omega's considered answer to what a serious everyday watch for a mature professional should actually look like. The teak pattern dial, available in several restrained color options, provides visual interest without visual noise. The case is proportioned sensibly and sits naturally under a shirt cuff. The bracelet is finished to a standard that holds up to daily scrutiny in any light. And the movement, Omega's coaxial master chronometer caliber, is among the most accurate and anti-magnetic movements in production anywhere in the world today. In Australia, Omega maintains strong retail presence through authorized dealers nationally, and the brand carries immediate cultural recognition that rewards its wearer without requiring any explanation at all. The fourth watch representing genuine value and complete style alignment for older Australian men is the Grand Seiko SBGW Hand-Wound Dress Series. Grand Seiko is still a genuine revelation to many consumers in Western markets, but in Australia's increasingly educated watch community, it is beginning to be properly understood and appreciated. The finishing on a Grand Seiko, the Zaratsu polished case surfaces, the breathtaking dial textures inspired by Japanese landscapes and seasonal changes, represents a level of craft that genuinely rivals Swiss watchmaking sold at twice or three times the equivalent price. For a man over 60 who has developed real and considered taste and no longer requires a recognizable logo to announce his intelligence or his success, Grand Seiko may be the single most satisfying choice currently available anywhere in this market. The fifth watch worth absolutely every dollar is one many Australians consistently overlook, a well-maintained pre-owned Rolex Datejust in 36mm. The Datejust is the most produced Rolex reference in the brand's history, and as a result it is readily available on the pre-owned market at prices that, while not inexpensive, are genuinely achievable for a considered purchase. A steel and gold fluted bezel Datejust on an oyster bracelet, with a champagne or silver dial, is one of the most enduring and universally respected watch designs in existence. It does not need to be new. A pre-owned Datejust with honest patina and a documented service history carries far more genuine character than a fresh example from a boutique. For a man over 60, it fits perfectly in every sense. It has lived alongside an entire generation of quiet achievers, it requires no justification to anyone who sees it, and it connects its wearer to a lineage of substance rather than performance. The thread running through all five watches to avoid is consistent, they prioritize the appearance of quality over its actual presence. And the thread running through all five worth buying is equally consistent, they represent honest investment in something made with real care, worn with the natural confidence of a man who no longer needs to try too hard to be taken seriously. Which of these watches do you currently own, and which one are you now reconsidering? Drop a comment below, I read every single one, and the conversation down there is always worth joining. If this gave you something genuinely useful to think about, subscribe and hit the bell. There's much more coming on exactly this subject.